As I had mentioned in the open, the second Tuesday of the month brings a visit from our regularly scheduled guest, the creator of the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website on the face of the earth. It is, of course, a man by the name of Meathead. Meathead, how are you, pal?
Hello, Centralites. Hello, Greg. How's the rock star of barbecue
We
from the
are
Rock Roll City?
rocking and rolling. Although you would find it odd, Meathead, that this is the off year for the Rock Hall. So while the Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, the inductions actually are taking place in New York City.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
But it's been going on like that for years and years.
Yeah, that's kind of cheating, isn't it?
That's the weirdest. I mean, I get that New York is entertaining and it's a melting pot and everybody wants to probably be in New York City if you had the option between downtown Cleveland and downtown New York City. Certainly two different types of cities. However, the Football Hall of Fame inductions aren't being held in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So I do find it a little bit odd, and it is my city, so I feel a little bit jilted every other year, and I'm glad at least they have it here.
It's disrespectful.
It's so weird. You have a Hall of Fame right here on the top of the lake, and yet the inductions and the party is being held in New York City. It's bizarre.
Besides you, it's the only reason to come to Cleveland.
That's right. I mean, what? Meathead, I was telling everybody at the top of the show that last year I attended the National Barbecue and Grilling Association's annual event, partially through your charge as we were promoting the Pitmaster Club, and I was doing 3 days of live shows, 3 hours at a clip, and doing a little promotion for you as well. You did not go.
Thank you.
So I was kind of standing in for you, but also taking advantage for things myself. However, 2019, a different year, a different city, and we find Meathead traveling to one of the barbecue meccas of Kansas City and attending the event. So was it just a matter of you having free time in the schedule? Did you feel like you wanted to give it a go in person one more time? What was the impetus for going back to the IM barbecue convention?
This year, they said that Rempe guy, he is too handsome, too charming, too suave. Why don't you send the ugly one? And so I went myself. No, last year I was humping away on a bunch of projects and books, and they were having it in the same location they had it the year before.
Yep.
And part of the fun of going to this conference is they move it around. And they have it in different barbecue cities. And this year is in Kansas City.
Yep.
And I hadn't been to Kansas City in maybe 7 or 8 years. And there have been a whole bunch of new places opened up. And so I carved out some room in my schedule, and I went this year. I went actually early. The conference starts officially on Thursday.
Yep.
There's an unofficial event on Wednesday, a bus tour of barbecue joints.
Right.
And I went in on Monday. So I had some time to hit a couple of barbecue joints. And it's always a lot of fun to go to this conference. But before we get too far into the conference, I think I heard you say about Jess Pryle's rub that it's Michelada, and that's a Texas beer.
Well,
Michelada
no. Now, hold on. Wait, let's make sure that I was reading this right from this bottle.
Okay.
And what it says is, inspired by Texas beer salt, this chili lime seasoning gives your meat a zesty kick. It's magic on chicken, but the tangy, mild heat works with pork and beef. And it's called meat, M-E-A-T, meat chilada, not michelada, which is that rimmed beer thingy-ding.
All right. Well, I maybe there is such a thing as michelada. Maybe I'm not aware of it. I apologize. As I understand it, that sounded like a pun on Michelada.
Yes,
which is a beer with a salt rim, and it's got chili, Worcestershire, lime juice, sometimes tomato juice and other things. And it's not like a Texas beer salt that I'm aware of. But Jess, she lives down there. She knows Texas better than I do. I yield to her expertise.
I think you're right. It is a play on Michelada or however you say it in Spanish.
And she, too, is better looking than I am by a long... And you.
Hey, you speak for yourself, pal. I'm pretty handsome. Never mind this receding hairline. So, Well, okay, so I'm thinking of different follow-up questions that have nothing to do what we were going to be talking about. So you're in for NBBQA on a Monday. Do you do any type of business for the website while you're there?
Yeah. I swung by excuse me, on Monday afternoon. I swung by Smithfield.
Okay.
They have their headquarters down there.
Yep.
And I was just kind of curious as to what their promotions are. They've been doing a lot of promotion with barbecue competitions. And I was puzzled by that because barbecue competition is a pretty small world. There's maybe 100 teams that compete more than 10, 20 times a year. There's maybe another 100 or so that compete 5, 10, 20 times. And all total, there's probably no more than 5,000 people that compete on a regular basis. And they're putting a lot of money in it. I was kind of curious what their marketing plans were for the future. And maybe we could dip our beak into it, get them to do a little advertising or sponsorship. And we have a project afoot, a new newsletter that we're contemplating. And I was wondering if maybe they might be interested in getting involved with that. So I just went there on a fact-finding mission. Didn't try to sell them on anything. It was kind of neat. I mean, they have a pretty big operation down there, and there's some neat people down there. And it was interesting to hear their commitment to competition barbecue. And then Tuesday, I hooked up with Artie Davis. Now, you know who Artie is. Well, I don't got a little tickle in my throat here tonight, Greg. I hope I don't mangle your broadcast. I hooked up with Artie Davis. Anybody who has done competition should know who Artie is. He's known as Remus Powers. He's the guy with the little short white beard and the bowler hat and a necklace with pork bones on it and the apron. And if you judge at a competition, a major competition like the Jack Daniels, he's usually there to issue the oath to the judges. And he also writes a regular column in the Bull Sheet, which is the newspaper from Kansas City Barbecue Society, and also in Nation's Barbecue News. And he's just he was a founder of KCBS. He's just one of the great godfathers of barbecue in America. And so I met him, and we hit a number of barbecue joints together, and I had my first snoot sandwich with Artie.
Snoot sandwich. Where do you get that?
Snoot. Pig snout.
Yeah. Where do you get the snoot sandwich at?
A little place called the Tenderloin Grill.
Huh.
Owned by former Mexican-American, a little out-of-the-way joint. Artie is an aficionado of snoot sandwiches, of many things. And I had never had one, and I figured my career is incomplete until I taste the snoot of a hog.
So how was it?
It's surprising. I kind of expected it. The snoot got a lot of cartilage and connective tissue, and there's not much meat in there. And you kind of expect it to be kind of slimy or boogery or something, and or maybe it smells funny because that snoot goes in a lot of funny places. But he cooks it for 2 hours in a pressure cooker, and it comes out kind of gelatinous, but not slimy. And there was a little bit of jowl meat on the edges.
That's good.
And he loads it up with mustard, ketchup, and onions on a bun. And gosh, I should have sent you a picture.
Yes, of course you should have.
Is it too late if I ship one over to you in a minute?
Yes, it's too late
for you to get it up online.
I mean, you can ship it, but I mean, I don't know when we're going to get it up.
Okay. Well, it the picture's kind of funny because the mustard and ketchup are drooling out of its nostril.
Oh,
like,
great.
But it was kind of fun, and then we we went to KCBS headquarters. Went to Q39, which is one of the hot new Kansas City barbecue joints that I had not been to. It's opened up since I was there last, and it's living up to its reputation. It was outstanding.
Well, you know who runs that place, right? You know who the founder is? Robert McGee from Munchin' Hogs at the Hilton, former KCBS Team of the Year.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He was one of the top competition cooks for years until he decided to open that place, and then never seen on the competition circuit again. Killing it in the restaurant world.
Well, you can make a lot more money in the restaurant business than you can run it competing in barbecue competition.
For sure.
So the food was great. He does a burn-end sandwich, does a platter of burn-ends, has really good wings. The ribs are very good, very tender, very juicy. I tried a lot of stuff on the menu, and came out very impressed. It's a modern place. It's not, one of these divey barbecue joints where the chairs and tables wobble. It's in a modern brick building, very clean, and the food was just delightful. I was very impressed.
Did you go to Slaps?
We went there.
Did you go to
Slaps?
We also,
yeah, go ahead.
Did you go to Slaps Barbecue?
Yes, we did. We went there on Wednesday.
Yes.
And that was some of the best barbecue I had on the trip.
For sure.
Slaps is a dive.
Yes.
Slaps is just the opposite of Q39. It looks like it's an old shed that somebody threw the lawnmower and the wheelbarrow out and put in a barbecue joint. And, it's got a little patio with I think it's a metal roof or something. And we tasted... his rib bones were really good, really outstanding. He's got a warm potato salad that's got a little mustard in it.
Yep.
That was just brilliant. Excellent beans. Nothing extraordinary, just really good beans. And they have beer, which is nice. A lot of barbecue joints don't. And I was very impressed with that place. And he's a real nice man, Joe Pierce.
Yep.
And we've met over the years, and this is the first time we had a chance to chat. And we chatted again later at the conference. Also went to Joe's, formerly Oklahoma Joe's.
Yeah. Jeff Staney's
an
place.
Institution down there.
Yep.
It's in an old. It's in a filling station, a gas station.
Yep.
You can still get gas there. They have racks of rubs and sauces, not just their own. Very popular joint, very good food.
Yep.
I wasn't as impressed with the food that day, that moment, as I was with Slaps. But Monday is an average day, Tuesday is a great day, Wednesday's a bad day. You never know.
Right.
A good restaurant reviewer will visit a place on multiple occasions. I found that it was a little salty. But I still enjoyed it, and it was, a touch of history. I was hoping to meet Doug Wergel, who works there. By the way, anybody who's listening out there who enjoys reading fiction, I read a lot of novels. Doug Wergel wrote a book called Thin Blue Smoke, and it's a novel about a family in the barbecue business, and it's a really good story, not just because it's barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like, wow, this is a good story for barbecue. It was a good read, held my attention throughout, well written. The guy who knows how to use verbs and nouns, and it's a good story, a lot of fun. And unfortunately, Doug wasn't there. I was hoping to have him autograph my copy. But if anybody out there loves barbecue and does enjoy reading fiction, this is a really good read. Let's see. One of the highlights of the stops that I made on Tuesday with Artie is we went to a place called Old World Spices and Seasonings.
Yep.
They're what's known in the trade as a co-packer or a packer. If you're a barbecue restaurant or a competition team and you want to start selling your rub or your sauce, and if you've got a restaurant, you should sell your rub and your sauce because people who eat there tend to like it. They will help you make the transition from a 5-gallon stainless steel bucket in the kitchen to a bottle on a grocery store shelf, and make it taste similar or if not identical, and get you through the federal labeling laws and all that stuff. And I wanted to meet with the R&D guy because I wanted to learn more about spices. I wanted to learn more about um, where aromas come from, where flavors come from, how they dissolve in different fluids like alcohol, water, oil, and so on. And it was really interesting. They took me into the lab. They have three young women there who are all recent, not all recent, but all graduates of food science departments at Kansas State and
Hmm.
elsewhere, and they're really into it. I mean, like they do regular blind tastings. Okay, smell this sauce and tell me, or taste this sauce and tell me everything that's in it, and they can. Or um, close your eyes or blindfold, smell this spice and tell me what it is, and they can. So they're really good at that stuff, and they'll help you formulate your rub and seasonings. And that was a lot of fun visiting there. They had hundreds of jars of spices, flavorings. As the guy said to me, you anything wet we can dehydrate. And so they had dried mushrooms, dried cheeses,
Oh,
exotic spices from all around the world. Really a sensory experience.
hmm.
And while we were there, they were doing, they were formulating a rub for a client that was supposed to be on a hamburger. And so they were cooking the hamburger, and they had the first version of their formulation and the chef's version, and they were trying to see what the differences were.
Mhm.
So we got to taste the hamburgers and taste the difference between the rubs. And I actually was pretty good at identifying what was missing and stuff. So it was just a lot of fun, really educational. We also hit one other barbecue joint. We went to Plowboys,
Yep. Todd
owned by Todd Johns,
Todd Johns. Yep.
another very successful competition cook who opened up a barbecue restaurant. He's got two with a third on the way, doing a real nice job. And one of the interesting things he sells is he sells um, a sauce for beans. So if you make your beans to go with your barbecue, and you start with dried beans instead of canned beans, this is a sauce you add to it.
Hmm.
And it was pretty neat, fun to taste, and his food was good. He does a lot of tacos. He serves food at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yes.
So, um, and then the conference kicked off on Thursday and Friday, and Saturday they had an event for the public.
From trying to think of where we're at here time wise. Well, let me get out early here, and then we'll have extra time to kind of dig into a little bit of the conference and what you thought some good takeaways
Yeah,
were.
I
And
thought, by the way,
yeah.
it wasn't in your promo for tonight, but we're coming up on Easter, and I thought we could take a few minutes and talk about ham.
Ham. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that here. So stand by, Meathead. We'll come right back to you. Barrel cookers are becoming increasingly popular. There are a good handful out there today, and we like to make sure that we are covering the field when it comes to this niche. My next guest has a cooker that we will be talking about, so let's go ahead and run to the hotline and welcome the creator of Hunsaker Cookers. That is indeed Mark Hunsaker. Mark, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Greg, how are you tonight?
I am absolutely fabulous. Mark, appreciate you making time for the show this evening, and a number of different places here to run around as we talk about your cooker and yourself. So before we get into the cooker, how about a little background about you, maybe where you grew up, what you do professionally, and where you're currently residing in these great states?
Sure. Okay, we're in Columbia, Missouri, and a little background on me. I grew up on a farm in west central Illinois. Parents still farm over there. One of the things I like to do there on the farm was when the equipment got tore up, my job was to weld it or fabricate something. So I just had a kind of a love for the working with steel and fabricating whatever I needed to do. So fast forward, went to college, got my degree, and 35 years ago I started out as an insurance adjuster. I'm still doing that. But I, kind of got a little bored and decided, well, let's start building some smokers. I like to barbecue, like to work with metal, so it seemed like a perfect marriage. And here we are, 6 years into making drum smokers, and things are going great. So.
Mark Hunsaker joining me here on the show. I don't want to diverge off the cooker talk, but I'm kind of always fascinated with farming, especially when you get out into the areas where you can see the fields and all that. How has farming evolved over the last, let's look at it from when you were a kid and where you see it today. Like, what is the life of a farmer these days?
Oh, my gosh. Well, unfortunately, a lot of the farmers now are getting much older. It's really hard to get into farming. I mean, it used to be a lot of the farms would be transferred from one generation to another. For various reasons, some of these younger guys just aren't getting into it. But I don't know how some of these guys that would like to get into it can do so. They're going to have to go out and borrow a lot of money or have a friend that's got a farm and willing to work with them. But, it's kind of scary because a lot of these farms are just basically, they're turning into corporate farms. It's like a lot of things, bigger and better, I guess, so to speak. But, I still I fond memories of growing up on the farm. Like I said, my parents still have the farm. My brother farms it. Raises quite a few head of cattle, and it's a great place to live and grow up. I just the machinery, the technology has accelerated so fast. I mean, when I was growing up on the farm, we didn't have a cab on a tractor. It was all open air. Now all these tractors, they all have, obviously, most of them have cabs, and all the comforts of home. In fact, a lot of these guys can go out, pull into a field and hit a button on their computer and basically sit there and, basically they're there for the ride because these things are programmed in with satellites. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Mark Hunsaker joining me here on the show. Mark, from a barbecue standpoint, is it something that you grew up around? Like, did you have a lot of live fire, barbecue, or grilling where you were growing up, or is it something that you got into from you developed a like of it on your own and then progressed into the business and the pit building side?
Right. Well, when I was growing up, I mean, we just assumed that having pork and beef was just a way of life for everybody. But obviously, that's not the case. I mean, if you got the cattle and the hogs on the farm, we butchered our own hogs and we did everything along that line. But as far as grilling, we didn't do a lot of grilling. I didn't even know honestly didn't even know what a brisket was until probably 20 years ago. Because we ground it up for burger, so we didn't have a clue what that was. But our grilling basically consisted of like a lot of guys, the charcoal with the lighter fluid. We all have that. A lot of us have that imprinted in our sensory, our senses. So don't use that anymore, of course. But didn't do a lot of barbecuing at home. Even though most of it was stuck in the oven and broiled. So But as far as the current situation, we enjoy doing a lot of barbecuing here. I do a lot of barbecuing just out of research too, to see how things are working with regard to our smokers and our grills.
So obviously the fabricating is self-explanatory, but when you start to get into making cookers, is there any particular reason why a barrel-style cooker stuck out to you versus something more traditional like an offset or something else?
Yeah. Well, I started building these smokers about 20 years ago, and they were insulated, the gravity feed, the rotisseries, the big heavy ones. And then about 6 years or so ago, I was at a local barbecue contest here, and it's in February. It was like a foot of snow on the ground. They were using plows to get the snow out of the way for the competitors. But I noticed there was a team that had these drums, and that kind of piqued my interest, thinking, well, it sure would be a lot easier to make a smoker with a drum than it would be me fabricating things from scratch. And got to looking at it a little bit more, and I thought, well, I could start making those things. So about 6 years ago, started making them, and the first few were pretty rough, and we've constantly made some changes here and there, and here we are 6 years later, and we feel like we've got a really good product going now.
All right, so let's talk about the Hunsaker cookers and why you think these might stand out compared to some of the other models that are out there.
Well, a lot of things that we do with ours are done with a reason in mind. We want to make it easier for our customers to have a more enjoyable experience. And we want to class them up a little bit. We're using stainless steel parts on our smokers now. That's just something that I don't think any of those the other guys are doing. We use high temp ceramic paints, and then we follow up with a high temp clear coat made by a company called Cerakote. Really good quality paint there. And we've just designed things here to even out the heat. We have the Vortex charcoal basket, which is one of our patented items in the smoker, and that was designed due to our discovering that having the conventional air coming in one or two places on the side of the drum caused significant hot spots in the charcoal. So we developed the Vortex basket, and that basically evens out the airflow through that charcoal basket and makes it basically a convection type smoker. So, and we've got some other features, the floating hinge, that works really well. That's also a patented thing that we've come up with. And we've got a few other things in the works as far as that goes. So.
Mark Hunsaker joining me here on the show. Mark, if you could, I guess, try and are you able to paint a little bit of a picture of this Vortex thing that you're talking about? Because, it's when I first saw it, this is going to seem really bizarre, but I remember seeing I think it was my grandma had a candle, and you would burn it, and then above it, it had these like little fan blade things, and the heat from the candle would start making the thing spin around. I assume that's a similar concept.
Yeah, it's similar there. You've got heat that's rising, and it's hitting that basically like a fan blade looking thing, and it's causing that air to mix up. So we're basically making that air do what we want it to. So it's coming in at the bottom of the drum. We don't have any pipes on the sides or any intakes on the sides. It's at the bottom center of the drum, and we did that for a reason, to force the air to come in around and through the Vortex charcoal basket 360 degrees instead of just one or 2 points, all geared toward trying to make things so it would evenly give you a much more even cook. But yeah, I remember those things you're talking about with the candle and the little fan things. Those are kind of cool. We saw them a lot of times in those fake fireplaces too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is a patented item.
It is. Yeah, it's a patented design. We've actually just recently made a change in the design. We purchased a CNC plasma table. It's a computerized table that's designed to cut things based on a computer program. Mm-hmm. And so we've taken liberties with that, and we have actually developed a new charcoal basket that's even heavier and a little larger than what we had before. And we designed that to help our customers get a little bit more time out of these things. but also make it easier for us to ship things, because the old design, we had issues with occasionally we'd have issues with the shipping companies smashing them. So we designed it so that takes that pretty much out of the equation. So they're like 14 gauge. I think other guys are building them out of 16 gauge, but we went with 14 gauge. It's a little bit heavier, but we feel like it's going to last longer for our customers. So.
Mark Hunsaker joining me here on the show talking about the Hunsaker Vortex Cooker. HunsakerSmokers.com is the website if you want to check it out here while we're chatting it up. Let's talk about cooking time and when you're firing it up. And we'll get into let's start there, I guess. If you buy a Hunsaker cooker, it comes to your house. Obviously, you could probably go to the website, watch some tutorial videos and all that stuff as far as getting it lit and so forth. But what do you recommend, or how do you recommend lighting it up to get that first cook going?
Okay. Well, basically, you either have lump charcoal or briquettes. Either one's fine, but I find that a lot of guys are using lump charcoal. It gives you a little cleaner burn. You don't have quite as much, white smoke. There's no binders to speak of in the lump charcoal. So a lot of guys are using that. So basically what we suggest, and it's only a suggestion, is to fill it up about 3/4 full. Light it. There's lots of different ways to light it. You can light it from below off the ash plate. You can fill it up halfway and stick a little Weber cube in there and light that. Some guys start out with a chimney full of hot charcoal, and they'll dump that on top of their the charcoal that's in the vortex basket. But like I say, there's lots of different ways to do it. There's really no wrong way to do it. I always tell guys the wrong way to do it is not to do it at all. So some guys even use the big blow torches, that you can hook up. They like those because those are kind of neat. They're kind of fun to run. So,
is there a seasoning process? So if I buy it from you, Mark, and it shows up, is there a first initial burn-in that I have to do, or do I want to coat it in like peanut oil or spray it down on the inside with Pam and then put a hot fire in it for a few hours, anything like that?
Yeah. Each of our smokers comes with an instruction sheet as far as how to recommend folks season their smoker. But basically what we recommend is guys just go and pick up a can of cooking spray and spray the inside of the drum, the bottom of the lid, anything that's metal, the vortex basket, the heavy-duty charcoal grates, anything that's carbon steel. We always think it's a good idea to spray that down with some like Pam or whatever cooking spray and season that. And that's a great time to learn how your smoker breathes at that point. But you might only put not even half a load of charcoal in at that time because you're just kind of learning how it runs. But after about 2 or 3 hours of burn off that cooking oil, hey, this thing comes ready to cook on. All you got to do is season it. If it's fully assembled, you don't have to put any wheels on it. It's ready to go.
How much meat capacity can you put in it? And I guess the better question up front is, do you have one size of cooker available, or do you have bigger and or smaller ones?
Yeah. Well, primarily, most of our business now has been geared toward the 55-gallon drum. And as far as capacity goes, well, that's a loaded question because you can kind of depends on how, what you're cooking and how you want to do it. One of the things that we try to focus on as far as, our designs is the fact that this is a vertical cooker, and it stands to reason that if you can hang it, you can cook it. I love hanging meat, whatever it is. If a hook can go through it and it'll stay there, that's a great way to do it. But you'd ask about other kinds of smokers as far as the size go. We are also producing 85-gallon drums. They're quite a bit bigger.
Wow.
But we've seen a significant increase in the demand for those. So we just try to listen to our customers, and we're going to start making more of those now.
When you have something that's 85 gallons versus the 55, do you find just an inherent bigger consumption in fuel, or are they still about as efficient?
It's crazy. You'd think it would consume quite a bit more charcoal, but it really doesn't. In fact, what we've noticed is with the 85-gallon, it actually seems to breathe better than the 55-gallon. I don't really know why, but it does seem to do that. Now, I will say the 85-gallon drum smoker is not on our website yet. We haven't got that far yet. But we do make them, but we just haven't got to the point where we put it on our website yet.
What's the price point on a 55-gallon?
Shipped to the customer's door at most locations is $799. Now, like I say, that includes shipping. It'll come in a box on a pallet. Normally shipping pretty much anywhere in the country will take up to, depending on what part of the country you're in, you might be looking at about 4 days max.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's kind of the standard as far as the maximum. That's going to be like the Northwest or or maybe the West Coast, maybe East Coast. But they get it out. They get out there pretty quick. So.
Are there any standard items that come along with this aside from the cooking grade? Do you get hooks or anything like that?
Okay. Of course, you get the drum and all the stainless steel parts on the exterior. Comes standard. Our Vortex basket with the built-in heat, if you want to call it a heat deflector, that's standard. You don't have to pay any extra for that. It comes with a 5-level cooking grate system with heavy-duty expanded metal charcoal or food grates. That it's kind of interesting the way these things work. You know, some of the guys are making drum smokers with these bolts, that stick in, or these little rods. We decided to change that quite a bit and make it so you can move your cooking grate up and down without having to try to maneuver around those. So it's based on a 3-pin system that locks into those vertical cook support apparatuses.
Is there an ongoing maintenance that you need to perform with these? You want to power wash them out every so often, or things that you don't want to do while you're using them?
Well, there's a lot of guys out there, and it kind of varies depending on who you talk to. Personally, I'm not a big fan of power washing a steel drum, because you could encourage, rust or something like that. But, as far as I'm concerned, scraping it, trying to keep the grease and the gunk out of it is important. With our smokers, it's got the hole in the bottom of it for the air intake at the center bottom of the drum, so it's really easy to put a pan under there and just kind of scoop or remove the grease and whatever ashes, if any spill out, you can move that to that center hole and get rid of that real easy. So you don't have to, fill it up full of chemicals. I'm not a big fan of chemicals either, really. But scraping, to me, that's sufficient. So now I will mention also, Greg, we've also come out, and it's on our website, a new product that we're really happy with or proud of is a stainless steel 55-gallon drum. That is a super sharp drum, and you never have to worry about paint issues, ever.
I noticed also, aside from the name brand products, that you have quite a few products that are directed towards the Weber Smoky Mountain. So did you see that a lot of people like that and said, hey, well, making this kind of a charcoal basket for the Hunsaker brand, I could make something that would accommodate a Weber Smoky Mountain and sell into that accessory market?
Sure. Yeah, we realized a couple of years ago that there's a huge number of Weber Smoky Mountain guys out there. Weber's got a really nice smoker. It's very popular. A lot of guys have them. So we decided that, why not come up with some products that would make their experience a little better? So our Vortex charcoal basket, the one we just designed, does fit in the 18.5 and the 22.5 WSMs. We also have a circular hanging rack that's stainless steel that comes with 6 hooks that fits in both the 18 and the 22. Let's see. But that's a couple things that we've done for the WSMs. One other thing too, I forgot to mention, Greg. We also have basically it's a Vortex plate that sits on top of the charcoal ring for the Weber. So that works out well too.
Do you sell a lot of Weber Smoky Mountain accessories through your website then?
Yeah, we do actually. We sell quite a few of those things, especially the Vortex basket and the hanging rack system. A lot of guys are really getting into hot and fast on the Weber side of things. A couple years ago, when I first started trying to talk to these guys a little bit about hot and fast, that was an uphill battle.
Yeah.
A lot of guys were still into low and slow, and there's nothing wrong with low and slow if you got plenty of time to do it. But hot and fast is great. It just takes a little more prep on the front end. You definitely want to trim all that fat off because you don't want that to catch fire. another neat product, Greg, we just put on the website tonight on Hunsaker Smokers is our hybrid food grate. It's really neat. It's got a pull-out bar that you use to hang the meat with, whether you do ribs or chickens or whatever, and it's got a flip-over door. So you flip the door over, you put the rod in, and then when you're done cooking, when you're done hanging, you can flip the door back closed, and now you got a full-size stainless steel grate now to work with. So, like I said, we just put that on the website tonight.
Are you sponsoring any teams, or do you know any competition teams that use the Hunsaker smoker?
Oh, yeah. I hate to think how many Hunsaker smoker teams are out there. There's several hundred, I'm sure.
Really?
But it's sponsorship. I don't know. We do kind of help some guys out that have a good social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
We try to help them out a little bit if we can. We're just not in a position to actually fully sponsor any of these guys, but we do try to help them out, though.
Do you foresee the smoker business like turning into anything more than it is currently?
Sure. There's really no end to this. It's just a matter of coming up with new things for the cook and making more products. We're working on new things all the time. We've got some things that are in development at this point that a lot of guys haven't even seen yet. So,
would you like to do Hunsaker full time and get out of the insurance adjusting, or is that not a goal?
Oh, it is a goal, believe me.
Right.
Yeah, I've been doing this insurance adjusting for 35 years, and that's one of my goals is to get to the point where I can do that full time. Now, my son Ryan does this full time, and he's instrumental in making this work for us. If I didn't have him helping us out, I'd be in big trouble. Now, growth-wise, we've been doing the drum smokers for about 6 years, and consistently we've doubled our business every year. So.
We're talking with Mark Hunsaker, the founder of Hunsaker Smokers, and you can find them at hunsakersmokers.com. We'll have a link, obviously, in the post show notes as well. So if you are in the market for barrel-style cookers, here's one that if you're not familiar with, you're going to want to check out. Make sure you give consideration to. Mark, really appreciate the time tonight. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
You got it. There he is. Mark Hunsaker from Hunsaker Smokers. As I said, they are really, 6 years in now. I like to think I have my finger on the pulse, but obviously I missed the pulse of that a little bit. 6 years now. And doubling in size every year, so that's good growth. Not crazy growth. But I think probably in his position, you probably don't want crazy growth. A little more controlled. According to David Platt, Amazing Ribs gave a Hunsaker the gold grade or the gold award. So congratulations. I'll talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue before we go to the open segment. Attention, folks, in the business of barbecue. First, let me tell you quickly about Southside Market. Established in 1882, Southside Market and Barbecue, the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. They offer premium Central Texas barbecue products, slow smoked over real wood. Shipping, distributing, manufacturing sausage for companies across the U.S. From food trucks to multi-chain restaurants, Southside Sausage can be on your menu too. All meats are processed in the on-site USDA-inspected facility, a trusted partner with a focus on quality and authenticity. Wholesale options available, shipping nationwide via FedEx, food service distribution via Sysco, U.S. Foods, and Martin Foods. Co-packaging capable from research and development to package completion. They can also follow your recipes or help you develop something new. Private label opportunities also available. Visit SouthsideMarket.com for more information or to purchase all of your goodies. Have you tried their hot guts, their jalapeno cheddar sausage, their sausage slammers, all their other sausages, the ribs, the briskets? Come on, let's give it a try. Save 10% when you use code BBQ Central at Tex House. That's right, at Tex House. Checkout. Go to SouthsideMarket.com. Load your card up. Then at checkout, you can save 10% when you use code BBQ Central. It's Nick and the gang over at Southside. Appreciate their support as well. Did Nick go to NBBQA this year? Anybody see Nick? All right, we are an open segment now, 216-220-0966. That's right, 216-220-0966. Or you can email the show in lieu of a call, Greg at the BBQ. Are you kidding? What? TheBBQCentralShow.com. And we'll be back right after this. Stick around.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring. Or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. The good folks at Fireboard, Ted Conrad and the gang. I bet Ted was at NBBQA as well. All right, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com if you want to jump in. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Greg. Eric Babb here from TBQ. How are you?
Hey, whoa, sorry. Hey, Eric, how are you, buddy? TBQ.
I am doing well. I thought I'd call in because I attended both the NBBQA and I'm also a team that uses the Hunsaker smokers.
Are you?
I am. And we actually won first place for our spicy tomato barbecue sauce this year.
Did you? Look at you.
We did.
Spicy minimal.
Last year came in second for the original, so we are 2 in a row for getting calls at NBBQA.
Yeah, congratulations. So, so what's the process for that? They select it down, or they break down categories, and then you just submit your sauce that fits into the best category available?
They do. They've got a tomato mild, spicy. They do the mustard, white sauce as well, and a fruit base.
All right. So first place this year, do you have a website or something that people can go to try and get their hands on these first place sauces?
We sure do. It is www.pittyq.com, and that's Pittyque.
P-I-P-P or P-I-T as in tango?
Pitty, as in pity, as in pitbull.
Got it.
We donate 10% back to animal rescue of all of our sales, so it's a growing phenomenon here in the Chicagoland area.
Yeah,
a lot of teams using our sauce.
How do you like the Hunsaker smoker? What do you like best about it?
I love getting sleep. As Mark mentioned, the low and slow guys, nothing wrong with that. They light their fires at, 2, 3 in the morning. I don't have to wake up till 5, and I get my cook done. Everything is on time.
What are you running at temperature-wise? Do you know?
For my ribs, I'm running around 260, 265. Everything else around 275 to 285.
All right, so you're not running into like hot and fast 375, 450 range.
No, with the drums, with the heat, it is like a convection oven. So actually, my briskets take about 4 hours. Pork butts around the same, and ribs are done in 3.
4 hours, and it's a whole packer at 275?
It's a full packer. It is separated, point and flat, and I believe about 1/8 of an inch of the fat on the bottom of the flat.
Interesting. Are you a wrapper guy too?
No, I do wrap. I do in foil. Add a lot of liquids, a lot of different mixtures in there, and so far, last couple comps of the following previous year, we've finished in some top 10 briskets, top 10 pork. So we actually won first place at the last comp of the year for ribs. So everything's clicking.
Nice. All right. Well, where are you competing at next?
First comp of the year for the Chicago area will be at Dwight, Illinois, at the Route 66 Smokeout.
All right.
And that's May 4th.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you calling in.
Hey, thanks, Greg.
You got it. First place spicy red sauce. Like it. It was TT, Tango Tango, Pity, like pit bull, I would imagine. John Dawson got your email, and I tell you, of course. Let's see here. This has trouble written all over it, but I like trouble. Why not? Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, it's Imperial Garden Chinese restaurant. Your food is ready.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you ordered the 3 chow mein, the 2 wonton soup, and the 4 egg roll, right?
I did. Thank you. I did not. I thought I did, but I didn't. That's all right. Hey, special because I was telling you my story of the tire incident of 2019, or the lack of tire. Special thanks to Noah and Amber Glanville and their sons Easton and Max for hosting Bobby and I this past weekend while we did attend the World Challenge volleyball tournament at the Louisville Exposition Center. And I'm not sure how many of you do the traveling sport thing. Some of you probably think that we're just a bunch of crazy kooks traveling, east of the Mississippi, 8, 10, 12 hours out of our home base. To a certain degree, we probably are crazy, and we could get into a sports club segment down the road if that is something that would interest any of you. However, that's nothing to do with the fact that the Glanvilles are incredibly gracious hosts, wonderful entertainers, and when you strip everything away, at the very core, just really great people, and that is very much appreciated, at least by myself and my daughter, because we were the two there. And it makes a huge difference when you can go back to a home and hang with folks instead of just being holed up in a hotel room after you're done playing volleyball for the day. And depending on what portion of the day it is, there aren't a lot of other options to go and do. Sometimes there's a team dinner that you're mandated to go see. Sometimes you're in a city that just isn't great and there's not a lot of touristy stuff to do. I am a fan of Louisville in the city sense. Some decent places to eat there if you're into that. You can see how they build Louisville Slugger kind of stuff. Churchill Downs is right there. So, a few things that kind of trip my trigger, but it's really nice to be able to go back to a home and be able to decompress, get the proper rest so you can line it up and then do it again the following day. Now, from a play perspective, the girls were horrible this week. The last 2 tournaments, I'm scratching my head at how the hell these girls qualified for nationals that'll take place in Dallas, Texas in 2.5 weeks' time. But they did. I can't deny the fact that they did. So we'll have to see how it goes. Also, huge thank you going out to Anella Kelso and the gang over at Snake River Farms for sending out their dry-aged tasting pack, which included a New York strip, a porterhouse, and a ribeye. All were huge. We ate those for dinner this past Friday night. All steaks are aged to 45 days. So as we break down my dry-aged palate, the funk is just starting to bud or build in at 45 days. I'm a firm wanter to tryer of a 70 to 90 day. I think that's going to be my next venture. LaFrida is like, he had 70-day dry-aged steaks, and then I texted with him earlier. I said, hey, you had 70. I don't see 70. Are they coming back? He's like, yeah, we're catching up because I think dry aging is just huge right now. So a guy that's literally doubled his dry age production isn't able to keep up with demand, but they are slowly chasing and getting back to normal or to the levels that they feel comfortable where they can offer those 70 days. So I think that's where I want to see if it gets too funky. Is it funky enough like the DOC? But no surprise that they were prepared on a pit barrel cooker, of course. And while I have used the pit barrel cooker for traditional barbecue stuff, and I also do chicken wings and chicken thighs on there quite a bit, grilling on the pit barrel might be more in my wheelhouse than I actually originally anticipated. So I will be doing that more this spring and summer to kind of hone in on those grilling skills when it comes to the pit barrel. Now, I know my neighbor Desmond, who might singularly be the biggest fan of the pit barrel cooker ever, he kind of keeps it on his portion of the property line in the compound. So I'm going to have to jerk control of that back over. And of course, Noah runs some custom-made grill grates in his pit barrel cooker. And I don't know if I want to bother doing that. It's not a mandate. Or maybe I could rip some old grill grates out of my Icon grill and cut them to fit, I guess. I couldn't do that because I'm not handy, but I'm sure some of my friends have saws that would cut aluminum or something. I could stick them in the pit barrel there and do some steaks and all that. But, man, these were absolutely spectacular steaks, again, at 45 days. Available for sale on SnakeRiverFarms.com. If you go to the dry age section, I think it said beef tasting pack or something like that. But it's got the porterhouse, the strip steak, and the ribeye. They're all very big. They all had a nice funkiness to it, but it's not overly funky, if I can say it like that. Not too much funk. All right, let's go ahead back to the hotline. Caller, you're on the air.
Greg, what's up? It's Hootie from Blocus Barbecue. How you doing?
What's up, Hootie?
Hey, we missed you out in KC this week.
Nobody missed me. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. We missed you, but that barbecue, that volleyball life is real.
Oh,
that hotel was packed to the gills with volleyball pants, and I did not think that was a real thing.
Oh, it's a real thing. You think I'm just trying to get out of stuff, but that's a whole different subculture that unless you're steeped into it, you have no idea what's happening.
Well, you were off the hook this year, but I hope to see you next year in Louisville.
Yeah, I think we're going to be doing. So what did you think the best NBBQA moment was for you?
All right, Greg. Well, my best NBBQA moment was actually on Tuesday. I stopped in the KCD offices right as soon as I got in town, so I'm going to check out those digs. Walked next door to Boulevard Brewing to see none less but Artie Davis and Meathead having a beer.
Really?
So, so I joined up with those two, and I went to Tenderloin Grill with them and actually had some pig snout.
Look at you.
So,
by the way, I did get that email that you sent me. I just haven't been able to flash them. I'll probably flash them up next week. But what did you think of a pig snout sandwich?
That's something we do not have up our way, Greg, but it was delicious. Like Meathead said, they cooked it in a pressure cooker for about 2 hours and actually allowed it to steep in those juices for another 20 minutes afterwards. So it's really tender and really broken down, and it was a mustard and hot sauce that they actually put on it. And it was a delicious sandwich. Can't say I'm not going to eat one every day, but it was cool to experience that with Meathead and Artie Davis for sure. Then after that, me and Meathead got dropped off by Artie over at Jack Stacks. Had a whole full tour back to the kitchen, learned how the process they make their lamb ribs, which was really cool. So, that to me, that's my best day. But, it's all for me, NBBQA, the seminars and all the sessions are great. But like Meathead said, it's about the networking, about being at the bar afterwards, all the characters you get to talk to. But there were some great seminars.
Who was the biggest star there that you saw, in your estimation? Who was the biggest star?
Myron Nixon, probably from the Meet the Masters panels. I mean, Myron usually takes the cake as far as barbecue stars, as we all know. So, yeah, Mr. Joyful was there, giving a good old good talk upstage, though. It was him, Stretch from Grinders,
yep,
that guy Charlie from Chicago Culinary Kitchen, and good old Junior Urias. And Michael McDearman was up there emceeing, and, he's a great MC.
You like him? You think he does a good job?
I think Michael McDearman does a good job. He has good command of the English language.
Well, that's key to be an MC. If you don't talk very well, you're a crappy host.
I mean, hey, we still got to get you in the Barbecue Hall of Fame, Greg, but we're working on it.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Hootie, tell everybody where you're selling barbecue. This Hootie's in Pittsburgh, by the way.
All right, we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our prime thing is catering, and we're also a barbecue food truck. Every Friday night, you can find us at Brew Gentleman in Braddock, and also Roundabout Brewery in Lawrenceville on Saturdays.
All right, Hootie, appreciate you calling in this evening. There he is. It's Hootie, everybody. If you're in the Pittsburgh area and you like Pittsburgh coming out of a truck, or you want your event catered, get in touch with Hootie. Hootie's Barbecue in Pittsburgh. You can find him. He's on the Facebooks, too. All right, I am well late, but that's all right. Do I have anything? Yeah, Green Mountain Grills. Let me talk to you about some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. Green Mountain Grills introducing their Prime line a couple months ago. You can look into the pellet hopper now. You can look into the cooking chamber now, both on the Jim Bowie and the Daniel Boone models. Both also accept that pizza oven insert, which you know I love, and I'm going to be getting some use out of that probably starting Friday this coming, possibly into a second day on Saturday. Also, might be grilling steaks in there on Saturday. Why not? I'm going to go get my membership at Costco because that's someplace I've never been before that Noah Glanville introduced me to, and the prime selection of beef in there blew my mind. So I'm going to be heading there. I'm going to let my BJ's membership lapse. That's right, I'm going to let my BJ's membership lapse and go get a Costco membership so I can take advantage of that succulent beef and pork and all that. And lamb. They have lamb there. That's where I like my lamb. GreenMountainGrills.com. If you want the portable one, the Davy Crockett, 12-volt technology on all of these. They have pellets, they have rubs, they have sauces. Come on. You know I got two in my backyard right now. I absolutely love them. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, we are back, and we are racing to get out on time. All the way back in the first hour, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com joined me. Big NBBQA recap. We talked about some other things as well. Didn't talk about ham, but sorry about that. Easter's coming. Also, in the second hour, we talked with Mark Hunsaker from HunsakerSmokers.com. Check him out if you're in the market for a barrel-style cooker, or at least something else to look at besides the pit barrel and the gateway, if you're so inclined. And we ended it with the open segment. Hootie called in. Pity BBQ called in. Somebody confirming a Chinese order called in, but that was a bad call. Big show planned next week already, September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.